studio with Marc Bosserman. He's an amazing musician, composer, producer, and he plays the piano. So he's going to do some of that for us a little bit later. But Marc, so how did you get started as an artist?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not sure how far back you want me to go, but I just, my dad bought a piano when I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I think that was definitely what I would consider like a red letter day in my life.
Right.
And then I remember we went down to this piano store to pick out the piano, and he said, who wants to take lessons? And I was like, me. So.
And he let you.
And it's funny. I remember at the time feeling like I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be the guy that got to do the lessons. It might be one of my sisters or whatever. So, but I guess I didn't even think that I would maybe be more gung ho than anybody else about it. So anyway, I started taking lessons. But I think even before that. It was an instant love affair for me. My dad brought the piano home, and it was sitting in the living room, and how people sit down to the piano and they play whatever song they know or whatever, and the guy sat down and started playing, Heart and Soul.
Oh, and I know that one on the piano.
Right? And I thought that was the most amazing thing I'd ever heard. So I said, what are you doing? What are you doing there? And he showed me how to play it, and I just started playing the piano. And I figured it out, and I probably, drove my mom sort of crazy, because I probably played a million variations of Heart and Soul, because he also told me you could improvise. And I always, and then I immediately started kind of composing music, because, when you're improvising, you're composing. And so, and so then from that point on, I probably knew within the first, really 2 seconds of playing that piano, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
That's such a great moment.
And it was amazing. It's an amazing moment. Anyway. So.
Well, and as far as Artists for a Better World, what do you think, how do you think that impacts artists to have a group called Artists for a Better World? How does that help artists?
Well, I think that it's an interesting thing, but I really feel that artists, I think, I would think most artists, I'm trying to think, I can't imagine an artist that doesn't have the purpose to make a better world. I think that really, what is art is, it's aesthetics, it's beauty, it's And I think that, for me, I know for me also just, I loved music. We used to sing we'd take these trips. We're living in Florida, and we'd drive to Kansas and have the family. I have 3 sisters, and Mom and Dad, we'd be in the car driving, and we'd all sing in the car, and it was fun.
That's
and
right.
And it was just always these moments of music and the radio and I like pop songs that were really, cool and, and it was just always a real up. It was always a really positive thing. So I think that, at least for me, I think that the goal is always how could I bring something special, something amazing to the world. I think that's what every artist wants to do. And so you have Artists for a Better World, and I think that that's just nice to have a group that is sort of, helps us all be aligned, on what we, and have a little more agreement maybe on what are we all doing? What are we trying to do? And also, it's nice to have that, just a little bit of inspiration too in the environment, a little bit of, people setting a good example in that area that, that it's fun to sort of chip in there yourself and see what you can do and how you can help. And I think that's, well, what's the point?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd like to ask you some other things because I've done seminars on marketing for artists to
Okay.
try to help them to market their art. So you've done it and you're online. So what do you do that really helped you to figure out how to market your art, your music?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, let me just say this about that. And I think that, from what I have seen, there's that there's a big difference in artists from person to person. I think probably every person in the world is an artist, right? To start with in some way, and or quite a number of people. But I think the difference between, you can be a great artist, but you still won't be able to make a living at it.
Exactly.
But the difference is the guys that were very successful knew how to market. And so I think it's, what is, it's sort of, I don't know, like you can get a kind of a fancy about, what is marketing. It's maybe branding or, how to, bring the maximum amount of, pow to your presentation or whatever. But
mostly it's just getting your whatever you have in your art, attracting and getting interest for that so that they want it.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. So I understand branding is one thing that came out of being able to research something and figure out how you should present yourself. But
Right.
you're right. It really is and it's a series of things.
Right. And so I even think like the most, let me break it down to, for me,
Yeah,
the most
sure.
basic idea is that, the most basic idea is just having a list of people or a list of possible clients or possible people that you could work for and telling them what you do and saying hi.
First step.
And and
Right.
I think it's the most, and I think like if I had to say, well, because, okay, I'm going to say just as an example, just to put some perspective. Last year I did 668 gigs in a year.
Amazing.
It was good.
Amazing.
Good year. It's my best year. And even this year before the pandemic joined us for the I was doing 15 or 20 gigs every week at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. But that's not something that's it maybe however phenomenal that might be. It's not something that anybody could do that. I think it's not. What I do is I tell people, I talk to them all the time. I think this is my most important tool, and I think this is the most important tool that anybody has. For one thing, every single person that I talk to, if they call me, if I get an email, I keep their information. Like
Right.
I have over 7,500 names of people in my phone that have just accumulated over the years. And I've got, and then I have an email list, and I just, like if I want to work in restaurants, I go on the internet, and I've gone on to Yelp, for instance, and I've just, typed in piano bars, and it gives you every piano bar within 15 or 20 miles. And so I just go to the top of the list and start calling.
Right.
And every one of those people, I keep a spreadsheet of every single restaurant. Who is the guy that books the entertainment? What's their schedule?
Get the right person.
Right?
Very key.
And that's very key when you
the right
call a
person.
venue. Like, make sure because I have definitely
keep track.
spent a long time talking to the person that answered the phone, and then realized after we were like best friends forever that they had just started working today and they didn't really know anything about it, and then
Right.
they probably weren't working there tomorrow. So, but so it's good to know who is the guy that books it, and then it's very simply, sort of telling the person, well, what do I do, and what do they do, and I'm interested in what do they like, what is the most beautiful thing, best entertainer they've had, or what was great about it, and then I think a lot of it for me has been like this sort of ongoing, constant thing of what, well, it's almost like this when I play the piano and I sing, and that's how I've probably done 90% of my success has come from simply finding out what would you like to hear, so, and I'm constantly asking people that. There's 1,000 ways to ask it. Well, what, who's your favorite band? Or, or, and then sometimes, it's something a little tricky to break the ice with people or whatever, or get that, to get that, that communication going, get that kind of rapport built up.
Right.
But that's kind of like what I do. Just like, I like to just meet people, make friends, but I'm making friends, but I'm also finding out, well, what kind of music do they have in their place, and how often, and what's their best thing? Do they like a duo? Do they like a single? Do they like a band? And then if they need a band, put a band together, or maybe come in as a single, or people like jazz. Yeah, I could do some jazz. Or they like classic rock. I can do some of that. Oh, they like
You're all
contemporary.
Round. You can do it all.
John Mayer. Oh, I got a lot of John Mayer, and Adele and Ed Sheeran, and or they only like Motown there. I mean, like, I don't know how. Anyway, but I think after a while you just you get a wider repertoire. But anyway.
Oh, they just start out by just asking people what they want, and then finding out and keeping track, organizing that, because treat it like a business.
It is a business.
It is a business.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, but I think, any activity that you want to do, the same basic principles apply. Like, if you have a lemonade stand, it's the same thing. You put up a lemonade stand. You have to find people that like lemonade,
right.
like, so you're a musician. You have to find people that want to have a live musician. So you have to kind of look around. One thing I've done is I've gone on, other piano players' websites, and I've seen, where do they play?
Right.
Where, they look at their calendar and they say, oh, wow, they're playing at, the Pixie Dust Cafe. And so I'm calling the Pixie Dust Cafe and saying, hey, well, how often do you have music? And, that sort of thing. And anyway, so that's, and then here's the thing, though. I have to say one thing about that, and that is the amount of, like, at least when I first started doing that, I thought, oh man, it can't be as hard as it is, but it's much harder than that. In other words, you have to understand that you might have to contact, 1,000 places to book 5 gigs or something. So, but the great thing is you'll get the 5 gigs booked, but then over the next year, if you contact 1,000 people, you'll have more gigs coming in the next 3 or 4 months or 6 months or year, and you have to stay in touch with people and constantly contact them. Anyway, I could talk about this for hours. I mean, I have a mailing list that I've sort of accumulated, and I send out emails, like sometimes 2 or 3 times a week.
2 or 3 times a week? Okay.
Sometimes. I mean, it just depends. I used to do once a week.
Okay.
But now I think because I'm sort of in a different mode, and I'm doing a lot more on the internet. So when I post a video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like today, like right now, right before I came here, I wrote a new song. It's called Wings. It's on my YouTube channel, and I posted it. And so I'm going to send out an email that just says, hey, I'm pretty excited about this new song, and maybe tell a little bit of the story about it, and say, well, please, let me know what you think or whatever.
Excellent. That's a great way, because people are curious about what's new. New music is always attraction. Attracts them to, and also then you can deliver your own message.
Exactly. And that's another very super simple way to look at it. And that is the very simplest thing that I am trying to do, or that anyone that's trying to be successful, like I don't care if you're like a lemonade stand or a multinational corporation, is to attract attention to what you are doing.
Right.
And I mean, like you have to put the video out, and if I tell people, then they'll go watch the video, and if they watch it, I get a minute of their afternoon, and if I get 100 people's minute, I got 100 minutes. And I think there's it's almost that's a sort of a mechanical thing, and then of course on top of that is all of your friendliness and all of your, I think it, like, one thing that helps a lot. I mean, you can't be grouchy. It helps to have a positive attitude.
Right.
You can be grouchy, but you probably won't work as much.
Well, let me ask you this then. In the arts, do you think people online, all types of businesses or people, whatever they're into, are more receptive if it's something aesthetic? If it's something in the arts.
Are you kidding me? That's the amazing thing. I think that, like, even, like, here's an interesting thing. I mean, you can have I could make you a cup of coffee at home, right? And I could, cook up a cup of coffee on my stove or whatever. But if you walk into a Starbucks, for instance, it's it smells good in there, right? And the decor.
Even though if you don't drink coffee.
And I don't even drink coffee. And it's, but I mean, I'm just saying there's an aesthetic to the whole design and the uniforms and the colors and the products and how it's laid out and the cups and the design and, and I think that there's always aesthetics, always. I mean, probably, like, people are aesthetic. People are aesthetic, so naturally they like aesthetics. I mean...
Good point.
Right?
Good point.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely. And the more aesthetic... But you could have the most aesthetic product in the world, and if you don't tell anybody about it will be sitting in your room. And
it does.
And I know, and I mean, I run into people all the time that, like, wow, or even people that, it's almost funny, you see these comments sometimes on people's YouTube videos, and they say, oh man, you should be famous. And I'm thinking to myself, well, having a good product doesn't make you famous. Telling a lot of people about the product is what makes you famous. And obviously, if you have a great product, it's easier. You have to do both things. You have to have both things. And I think that, that kind of goes back to my thing, like, I've noticed, like, you may not like this example, but for instance, like, I've used the example of Monet versus Van Gogh.
I love Monet, and I love both of them.
Personally, I love Van Gogh. I love there's something about Van Gogh to me that's transcendent. And I love Monet too, and Monet is beautiful, and but he doesn't do the same thing for me as Van Gogh. But,
gotcha.
But it's an interesting thing. Like, Van Gogh was a field hand and a banker, and he literally worked in, fields cutting, grains for people, and he was a poor guy, and he had a little tiny room and there's a famous famous painting that he did of his bedroom, and he just was not doing good, he wasn't successful really as an artist when he was living. Monet, on the other hand, had a big house, and people come over, he had big parties, he painted all the time, he had all the galleries would come around, and he knew how to market. And
yeah, he was great.
So it's like so a lot of it can be how incredible the art is, but if you could have incredible art and not market, like, here's the other great thing about marketing for me. And that is, the more that you market, the more you're going to play, the more that you're going to paint. If people commission you constantly, you are going to be painting your bootay off. You're going to be painting and you're going to have to. So the great thing is, if you can book the gigs, which is kind of almost my philosophy, my sort of thought, well, if I could play every single night, and then I could probably get pretty good. And so people say, oh, you play really well, or, you're amazing, or whatever. And I'm like, kind of like, yeah, well, you would be amazing too if you played as much as I played. I mean,
bet.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that that's a key thing. And they sort of help each other. They help each other.
That's a great point. Very good point.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to leave our artists with as far as the most important thing they should keep in mind as a musician and an artist? But
I think the most, I mean, I don't know, like, I think the make break point of it is to put your art out and get it out in front of as many people as you can, no matter what happens. Like, you know, here's the other thing is an interesting thing. Not every single person is going to be ecstatic about your art. But if you think about it, you're probably not ecstatic about every single artist in the world.
right.
So, but there are certain people that you resonate with. And if you put your art out and just keep putting it out and put it out and put it out and keep putting it out and keep putting it out and put it out, people that resonate with your art will resonate with you.
They'll find you.
And you'll find them and they'll find you, and the
Right.
people that love you will hang out with you. But the other thing I would highly recommend is that you capture their names, like you get their email address and you stay in touch with those people, and you get their cell phone number and you text them and let them know when your next show is, or your next concert, or your streaming, or it still has so much to do with, it's 100% your responsibility.
That's
it's
right.
not, I mean, I don't like, there may be artists that, you hear about, or they almost make this thing, oh, this person just blew up they didn't have to do anything. But I mean, I think that happens, 1 out of a million people, but I think the other 999,999
People.
yeah, the rest of those people like busted their fingers on their phone, their marketing, their Instagram, their social, their Facebook, their YouTube videos, they're calling people on the phone, interacting with them. It's a constant thing, and you can't, and you need to just do that, like, and you're going to need to do it about maybe 1,000 times more than you think that you should have to.
That's right.
You need, but if you do, then you can make a living. And oh man, I think that's the most incredible thing that I think as an artist, I think that's the most amazing thing that I think I've accomplished, is that I've been able to make a living. So I can do art all day long. It's amazing, because, and if you can make a living at it, you can do that. And
That's
if
right.
if you can't, you're gonna have to mow lawns, or drive an Uber, or whatever you're gonna do. But you can, and you can figure out how to do it. Anybody can.
It's like a mindset too. It's like if they believe in themselves and believe in their art, they just have to keep at it.
I wouldn't, and I would even say, whether you believe in yourself whether you believe in yourself or your art, just say it and get it out
just
there
get it out.
anyway.
Oh, that's good.
Because honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, every time, there is not a single time when I put a piece of art out that I'm not thinking, oh man, is this really good enough? Or is this
That's
really, have I done everything I can? Or maybe I could tweak this or that, and I think it's almost like, but imagine if you did that when you were talking.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to make up sentences and I'd be like,
Oh,
hold on, I need to be Shakespeare. This next sentence needs to be Shakespeare before I say it.
exactly.
You'd never say anything.
Exactly. And you
know?
wouldn't be spontaneous.
Yeah, and I think, and so I think you need to be that way about your art. And hey, you might offend some people. Some people might not like it, but those aren't the people that you're trying to find anyway. You're trying to find the people that do like it, and they will love it. I mean,
Yeah.
even if it's your aunt, she'll love it. And maybe your aunt could float you, for your first couple years. Whatever. But
Thank
anyway,
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a great thing to leave our audience with. The
Okay.
artists appreciate anything to do with how they can market their art.
Great.
And we're going to get some music next, right?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Back in the studio with Marc Bosserman, who's an incredible pianist and singer. So you're in for a treat. He's got 2 songs for you that are originals.
Awesome.
Take it away.
All right, here we go. Okay, so, well, the first one I want to do, can I do 3 songs? Okay, or maybe
Whatever
4. I
you
wanted to
want.
do 4. Are you going to find it? I don't know, maybe, whatever. I can do 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. All right, this is just a song about, that I think I wrote it because I believe that anyone can change. And anyone can be the best person that they or anyone else can imagine that they can be. I believe that they can, and anytime, and I don't believe there's any point of no return. And I wrote this for somebody that I love, like, in a lot.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. It's called I See You Free. Dead, drugged, dismal failure. The hole you dug is deep, empty, pain, confusion, no more laughter, soul asleep. There are the vistas, there are no other lights in the skies, better tomorrow, it's about to materialize. I see you flying, I see stars in your sky, now you own the universe. Goes like this. I see you flying, I see stars in your skies, and now your wings are open. I see the phoenix rise, I hear your laughter, I see you winning the fight. Now you own the universe, I see you free. There are the vistas of the lights in the sky, better tomorrow, it's about to materialize. And I see you flying, I see stars in your skies, and now your wings are open. I see the phoenix arise, I hear your laughter, I see you winning the fight, and now you own the universe. I see you free. The past is long, so much pain. It seems like too much. That's all behind you now. Ahead of you now is eternity. I see you flying, I see stars in your skies. Now your wings are open, I see the phoenix arise. I hear your laughter, I see you
Beautiful. Oh my God. Very beautiful. Very,
Ow!
very. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Make,
Mark.
you give
Yes,
people
indeed.
a lot of the goosebump moments, the chills.
I love that
Beautiful.
song. All right, let me see.
People relate.
Okay.
But people
Okay,
relate
now
to
we're
that.
gonna do the. All right. Well, I want to do this other one. I'm gonna do. A more of a jazzier kind of song. I wrote this one for my wife. I just recently was in Aruba, and I was there for a couple of months, and I basically went down there just to kind of get away from all of the craziness that's happening in the world, and I wanted to, sort of disconnect from it. And so I went down there and I wrote 45 songs, and this is when I wrote this. I wanted to write this song. I had this idea. I'm going to write like a Sinatra song or something. I think I watched, like one of those documentaries.
Documentary.
Anyway, so I wrote this for my wife. You make me so very happy. I'm so glad you came along. You make me smile. After a while with you, my blues just fade. You make my heart dance. You make me want to take another chance at life. You make me smile. You clear away the haze. You make me smile. You make the birds sing. You make the rain so much more wonderful. You make me smile. Whenever you're around. You make the birds sing. You make the rain so much more wonderful. You make me smile. Whenever you're around, you make me laugh. You make me smile. You make me smile. You make me smile.
Wow. Great. Beautiful song.
Thank
you.
All right.
Wow.
Woo!
Beautiful.
I love that song. All right, let's see. Okay, now I'm gonna do. Okay, this is one that I wrote. When I went down to Aruba, I was thinking, I wasn't writing that much. I wasn't writing hardly. I wasn't writing songs. I hadn't been writing. And I thought, I want to write myself.
Your
I want
own
to write
songs.
songs,
Yeah.
So I went down there, and I think that, I don't know. I just feel like for me as an artist, and we were talking about that earlier. I want to make the world more beautiful.
That's right.
And so and then just one day it just sort of hit me like, okay, I just thought, oh man, I could write this song about an artist. And so this song's called She Makes Beauty. Anyway, and
Great.
She wakes up, has her coffee, 2 eggs and toast. She wants to make the most of the day. And the bombs fall in politics and CNN, and it's gloomy. It's gonna be a bad day for everyone, everywhere. That's what they say. Then she reaches for her easel, grabs a paintbrush and some fairy dust, and she mixes up a special kind of blue. And she makes the world more beautiful. It's more beautiful than it ever was before. The sunshine and there's rainbows. The kids play and the gloom fades away, and the world is a better place today. Everybody, la 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 la. Oh. Then she reaches for her paintbrush and her fairy tale mind's alive, and she mixes up a beautiful brand new shade of blue, and she makes the world more beautiful, and it's more beautiful than it ever was before. And she brings the sunshine and there's rainbows and the kids play and the gloom fades away. The world is a better place. There is no way to describe how much she adds to so many people's lives. And she's beautiful, and she makes the world more beautiful, and it's more beautiful than it ever was before. And she brings the sunshine, and there's rainbows, and the kids play, and the gloom fades away, and the world is a better place because she makes the world more beautiful, and it's more beautiful than it ever was before. And she brings the sunshine, and there's rainbows, and the kids play, the gloom fades away, and the world is a better place today.
Wow, thank you so much.
Woo!
Oh,
Hey! Thank you.
thank you. This is more Marc Bosserman for your lovely, entertaining presence. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having this incredible, Gary, this is a beautiful venue, and it's such a pleasure to be here and be able to create music for you beautiful people and for such a good cause.
Thank you so much.
This one is called Wings. I wasn't flying too well. Shot down too many times. Every time I'd rise, I fell. Had the weight of the world on my mind. My wounds were open, my burns just wouldn't heal. Forgot where I was going. You helped me to break free, but you fixed my wing. We vanished all the light. You listened to my confession, and you understand. Now my wings are mended. I am whole again. I see where I am going. I make beauty again. Thank you, my friend. When I need some fixing, when I need a friend, someone to listen, I'll be back again. And you fixed my wings. We vanished all the light. You listened to my confession, and you understand. And my wings are mended. I am whole again. I see where I am going. I make beauty again. Thank you, my friend.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mark.
All
Wow,
right.
that was powerful.
I love that song. All right, so I could do.
Ah, jazzy one.
Let me say, how about this one? This is an older one. Very important message in this song. When you work all day and your heart just wants to play, have a little chocolate in the afternoon. Forget about your diet, get ready for sensation riot, right in the middle of the afternoon. There's elegance and decadence, and I know you'll not complain when you get that carefree feeling high from your chocolate in the rain. chocolate afternoon. There's only one way to really celebrate your life, and that's with a little bit, just a little bit of chocolate in the afternoon. Okay, anybody bring a saxophone? Elegance and decadence, and I know you're not complaining when you get that carefree feeling high from your chocolate in the rain. You cuddle with your sweetie on a chocolate afternoon. There's only one way to really celebrate your life, and that's with a little bit, just a little bit chocolate in the afternoon. Chocolate. In the afternoon. Chocolate. In the afternoon.
Nice, very nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, you know,
All right.
thank you. That's all.
Can I one more? Can I do one more?
Sure.
Just, I
Oh.
mean, you know, I'm just, it's a totally new song that probably nobody in the whole world's heard, like 3 people.
Really?
Yeah, me and my cat, and I don't even have a cat. So. Skies are falling, and I'm on my knees. Bombs are dropping, bringing their disease. Winds of change blowing, screaming through your trees. It's hard to stay positive. Reason is failing, we should heed. Mothers crying, listen to their plea. Cities are burning, hate and greed. Sometimes it's hard to stay positive. What the hell is this insane madness? Trying to take away freedom, trying to kill our hopes and dreams. They can try, freedom, hope, never die. I am positive, I am positive. Black lives, blue lives, crimes, protests, riots, and lies. But the truth will never die. I am positive. I am positive. Stay positive.
Yes.
My God. That was.
This is my theme song. Blue sky smiling at me. There's nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song. Nothing but bluebirds all day long. I never saw the sun shining so bright. I never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my, how they fly, it's crazy. Blue days, all of them gone. There's nothing but blue skies from now on. So bright, I never saw things going so right. Never let a thing go hurrying by. When you're in love, my, how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone. There's just nothing at all but 3 times. Blue skies, no, nothing but blue skies. There's nothing but blue skies from now.